So our keynote speaker today is a best-selling author, international speaker, and coach. His passion is helping entrepreneurs and professionals to rethink social media to leverage the people that they already know to grow their business. It is now my pleasure to introduce Kyle Draper. Kyle, come on up.
How we doing? How do we feel about social media right now? 1 out of 10, 10, you're slightly jealous that you're not up here talking about it. 1, you don't even know how to log into your Facebook. Where would we position ourselves? An 8? Come on, that's awesome. I heard some 5s, 4. We have any 1s and 2s in the room? A couple of you? Now let's take it a step further. How many of you are currently leveraging video in any capacity of what you do? Now how about weekly? Daily? And the hands go down. A couple hands. Congratulations to the 2 of you. I hope today, I want to shift your entire mindset about social media because I believe that our industry does it wrong. I believe you've been taught how to do it poorly, and the same is true for your real estate counterparts, and so hopefully you can take this back and help them, and you can take all the credit. You don't have to mention me ever, and you can get all the brownie points with them, but we've got to redo this because what I'm watching is we are using social media, creating content that steps on the backs of all the people we already know to go be impressive to people we don't. And then we know that strangers typically convert at 1 to 2%. And so now we're in this rat race trying to fight for buyers when we have thousands of people that we have spent our lives with in different seasons that already trust you, but they just don't remember you exist because you're never actually speaking to them. And so that's what we're going to do today. And however much time I'm given, and I don't know about you, but when somebody gets declared as like a best-selling something and international, like if I can just be real with you guys, I spoke in Curacao last year, and so that gave me my international title. All right, so I don't spend my life traveling internationally, but I thought, well, dang it, if I get to use it, I'm going to use it, right? I don't usually tell people that. I don't know what it was about today. I just felt like being honest. But here's me. I spent 10 years in my 20s as a youth pastor, loving on teenagers, preparing food fights, dressing up in crazy outfits. And then 11 years ago, I felt this calling to move into the business world, to love and make a difference in people's lives. And that took me to roofing. And so I went from when I'd walk in a room and somebody go, well, what do you do? I'd say, I'm a pastor. And I'd get really great responses from people. And then I had to tell people I was a roofer. And people were like, when did you get out of prison? Right? Because like that's what you do. You get out of prison and you're like, who will take me? Roofing. And so I spent years in roofing, and I was actually, I think to this day, I may be the only roofer that would wear skinny jeans and Tom's shoes on roofs. True story. So I don't do it anymore. But it was through roofing that I've met a lot of realtors, because if you've ever been to a networking event, they're the only people there, right? There's 84 of them at every event, because instead of making more money doing their job, they want the free, we can't. Did any realtors come to this? Are you a real realtor? Oh, but somebody's here? Oh, you do? Well, let's be better, guys. Then I can't make these jokes. And so through meeting realtors, I realized, man, y'all are bad at social media. I'm a good communicator. I'm going to learn social media for my own roofing business, and then I'm going to start teaching classes to educate and pour into these people. And in that photo, there were 2 people in that room. But I gave them my heart and soul, like I'm going to do with you guys today. And then it was 3 years ago that somebody told me, hey, have you ever tried to speak at AIM Fuse? Has anybody been to Fuse before? And it's a really cool event. It just happened, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago in New Orleans. And I got on the website. Everything was already spoken for. And I just cold emailed them and I said, hey, y'all are doing a disservice to all the people coming to this because you've got 3 days worth of training and none of them are about social media. And so if you're willing, I'll pay my own way, get my own room. If you'll give me a room, small or big, to teach people how to leverage this the right way. And I didn't think they'd talk to me, but they quickly were like, come on, bro. And so they gave me a room, 900 people showed up. We talked about social media. I've been able to be there every year since. Why? Because this works. What we're gonna talk about works. And let me make it safe for you. 90% of the talk I'm about to give has nothing to do with social media. Can I get an amen from anybody? Amen. Right, as a former pastor, I need, right, we're the most insecure people on the planet, so we need feedback, right? If you're silent, I just assume that I'm doing a horrible job. And so if you appreciate it, even if you don't, just throw a random amen out there and I'll feel good about it. All right? Are y'all ready? Okay. Well, first, before we're officially ready, let me be rough and tough for a moment. This is my why. So when I travel and do this, I have an unbelievable wife who is an incredible mom to 3 kids. And here's what I'm learning every day as I do this. If you have things in your business that you're unwilling to do, you don't love your why as much as you say you do. Is that real? Because to say, this is why I do this is who I fight for, but then I have a whole list of things that I'm not willing to do because I'm uncomfortable, because I didn't used to have to do that, you need to reconsider if you're really fighting for the people you say you're fighting for. Because what I'm about to talk to you about is uncomfortable. But I guarantee you it's going to help you win more than you're currently winning if you can overcome yourself. And so, we start right here. I got on an AI called Midjourney a couple weeks ago. And I asked it, what do you think a belly-to-belly meeting looks like? This is what it gave me. And I was like, do they have cameras in my office? That's like a 70-year-old version of me sitting across from me. And I went, isn't it funny that this is what AI depicts, even though a lot of you are still fighting for this? Because we've always got in person, and I love for people to come into the office and sign docs, and I love to go to coffee appointments, and I love to get face-to-face, belly-to-belly, when that's not the way anymore. This next generation of buyers, the young ones now, but then the generation to follow, how do they talk to their friends? No, not text. Video. When I drop my 2 oldest off at school, the older kids haven't been picked up from the bus stop yet. All of them are standing on the corner doing this. They're talking on FaceTime to the people they're about to see in class in 3 minutes. That's how they communicate. And so what I'm learning and diving deeper into, guys, is that video is belly to belly. Video's belly to belly. If you and I were to spend time on Zoom and we had a good conversation, we told a few stories, we got to know one another, your brain doesn't go, psst, don't like him. This isn't real. All my brain knows is that I spent time with you today. And so in the back of the room, he's on his phone. He's not even listening to me. But his name's Luke Shankula. We've been friends for 3 years on the internet. We just met in person for the first time 20 minutes ago. And we hugged like best friends. Not awkwardly, we're like, oh, what do we do? We've seen each other on the internet for 3 years. Like, how do we treat this moment? This is the leverage that I believe most of you are not using in your business. And to further the point, a year and a half ago, I wrote a book called Rethink Everything You Know About Social Media. In the book, there was a small little section called Be a Connector. A guy in the mortgage space, he read my book. This part was profound to him. He reached out to me and said, I bought 50 of your books. Could we meet up and you sign them? And I said, heck yeah. Nobody's ever asked me for my autograph before. And so we met and I signed books and we had fun because we recorded videos with mullet wigs on to industry leaders in the mortgage space. And in this moment, can I also add, guys, we've got to let go of this like uber professional way that we conduct business. 20 years ago, somebody wanted to work with the most professional lender or broker. Now, we want to work with the person we trust. And so if you're not willing to have fun in your content on social media, if you're not willing to humanize yourself and talk about what you're going to eat for lunch today, and talk about the things you spend your life doing that have nothing to do with work, you're going to miss opportunities. And so we recorded a bunch of these videos, and it led me to this guy right here. Some of you may know him. His name's Brian View. He's the COO and president of FinLocker. He posts about my book 14 days in a row on LinkedIn. My wife has never even read the book. And so I never in a million years thought anyone would post about it, much less one person 14 times. And so about 6 days in, I DM'd him on LinkedIn. I said, who the heck are you, bro? And why are you making my book look so good? And so we started a conversation, and we began to get to know each other. And then because of who I am, I said, we need to FaceTime. And after this FaceTime, we ended up on a podcast together. And it was at the end of this podcast that he said, Kyle, tell me more about this whole rethink everything. And I started telling Brian that the vision that I have for my Rethink Everything brand is that it could be the new age book for dummies. I'm 41. I've never seen anyone try to challenge book for dummies. There's thousands of them. And it's crazy that they've lasted this long, basically saying, you're a moron. You should get this. And so I thought, man, Rethink Everything feels a little bit more coy, a little bit more humble, and a little bit more inviting for people. And so that's my vision that we're carrying out. We just released the 3rd book. But that conversation, let's clap at 30. Thank you. I appreciate that. But this conversation led to Brian going, hey, what if we wrote a mortgage book? And I said, I don't know anything about mortgage, but let's do it. And so we partnered with 37 different people from our industry, both the retail side and the broker side. And without any of us ever getting in the same room, we wrote this book conceptually to finished in less than 4 months. It's been a best-selling book on Amazon. And guys, the reason I'm telling you this is not for the book, which you should go buy if you haven't. It's this. Brian and I wrote an entire book together. Brian and I share a bank account together. And we have never met in person until 2 months after this book was published. To this day, we've been in a room together 3 times. And our names are on the cover of a book. Our names are on a bank account that actually has a pretty good amount of money in it. We don't have to be in person with people anymore. We don't have to. I know we want to, but it's not necessary. It's not a requirement anymore. Most of my best friends on our planet, 95% of our relationship is on the internet and through FaceTime and on Zoom and in Teams. And I trust them more than some of the people that I see every week in Fort Worth, Texas. This has to change. And so here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this in 6 ways. We're going to talk about sales. Anybody interested in more sales? None of you. Why are we here? I mean, that should have gotten like a fairly decent response, right? Or you're just all doing as good as you'd like to do. Oh, okay, good. So here's what I've found as a speaker. There's always those people that like, you're the best and you love participating and you're going to raise your hand if I ask you to raise your hand. And then most of you are like, screw you, bro. I hate authority. I'm not going to do anything you say. And that's most of you, and that's okay. So, challenge accepted. I will get your hand up before the end of this session. We're going to talk about recruiting. If you're not in recruiting, there's still going to be aspects of this that are going to work for you. We're going to talk about culture and leadership because we've got to showcase those things if we want to be attractive to people. We're going to talk about education. That's what we should be leading the way with. And then we tie it all together with communication. This is where the sell is won or lost, isn't it? And so, for my data people, let's look at a few numbers first. The average internet user watches 17 hours of video a week. Is that believable or is that kind of crazy to you? Because it's interesting, all of us, right, are helping create the average. So some of you are far under the average. Some of you are far above this average. That's how we get to an average. The reality is this. Are the people you want to work with, the people you want to do a refi for, the couple that you want to help do a reverse mortgage for, are they on the internet? See what you guys are doing to me? Apparently not. Do we have the internet in California? You know, y'all are known for some weird things coming from Texas. And so I don't know what I'm getting myself into. This is a mortgage event, right? Could have stepped into the wrong room. 73% of buyers prefer learning about a brand through what? We're getting better. You guys, come on, we're doing it. Thank you. 73% of people are raising their hand to say, I would love to see a video. And so here's the scary part about this. If you're awesome in real life, but you look like you suck on the internet, you suck in real life. Did you know that? Because perception is everybody's reality now. And we've got to stop fighting for what we believe to be true. Because nobody cares. It's all about perception. And so you can no longer just hang your hat on, I've closed over 1,000 loans in my career, but I'm a ghost on the internet. You're also a dinosaur. And we know how that went for them. Guys, this is real life. And I'm trying to use some humor to kind of lighten it up, but this is serious. If somebody asks you about a restaurant or invites you to go to a restaurant, what's the first thing you do? You look it up. When we bought a vacuum 2 years ago, we got on Amazon and started reading reviews from complete strangers. There could be this whole department in the prison system where like during their hour of internet time every day, they go leave fake reviews on Amazon. They're like, ha, 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 we're going to screw this vacuum, right? Like, and we trusted all those opinions. Guys, this is the world we live in. And so we can't just say, I'm amazing. I've been amazing for a long time. We have to also represent it online. And to tie a pretty bow on this, has anybody ever sent an email before? Come on, a few more hands. Y'all are tough. Y'all are tough. For the 3 of you that still use email, for the rest of you, you are dismissed. Email with video gets a what? 300% open rate compared to email that doesn't. And yet, most of you are going to leave this room during a break and do what? Send a bunch of crappy emails without video in it so that all 4% of your people open them. But you're going to pat yourself on the back because you checked the box that day. Let's stop checking boxes and let's start doing things that work. But it's going to require you to get uncomfortable. And so as we jump into this thing, guys, we have a problem ourselves. This is why we struggle. And so to let you in on a secret, I've been doing video almost 11 years. I've felt fat in all of them. Right? I've yet to do a video that I watched back and thought, you are a snack. You are tasty. Your wife is so, like y'all saw, I married way up. I just pray to God every day. I'm like, Lord, keep those blinders on. Whatever she thinks I look like, let's keep it that way. And so I've never done a video where I was like, oh, yes, people need to see you. I've never done a video where I heard it and thought, oh, man, your voice, that's sultry. That's so good. When I hear my voice, I not only hear a 12-year-old girl, but I hear, and we're not finished, I hear a 12-year-old girl that has just inhaled a helium balloon. That's what I hear. I hope that's not what y'all hear, but that's what I hear. What was that comment from the back? This is hard. Here's my superpower. It's not cool. I can't fly. I don't have an invisibility cloak. Here's my superpower that I hope to impart to you today. I love helping people more than I care about looking stupid. That's my superpower. And I don't want you to clap for me. I want to impart it on you. Because this is what our world needs. More people willing to overcome their own insecurities for the sake of others. This is what video does. But we have to overcome the way we think about ourselves and what we don't think we have the right to talk about. Because I could sit with any of you. What's your name? Tracy. It's great to meet you. Tracy, we could sit down for 2 hours. I could pepper you with questions about mortgage. Would you ever run out of answers? Probably not, right? But then the moment that I go, Tracy, that was so good. Hey, now real quick, now say it. Guys, I don't have this unlocked. The camera's not even pulled up. Tracy's already uncomfortable on the front row. This scares the crap out of us. And we've all fallen victim to, well, I get what you're saying, Kyle, but what would I say? And so here's our problem. If we wake up every day asking ourselves, how do I win more deals? You're never going to know what to say on the internet. Because that's selfish in nature. And is there a golden goose? Is there a golden bullet, a silver bullet that's going to help you win a deal every day? There's not. And so what we instead have to do is, what can I do today to create more value for the people I want to serve? And guys, it's crazy how this works. The moment you stop making this about you and you make it about others, it gets easier. It's crazy how this works. And so we have to overcome ourselves if this is going to happen. And so as we jump into this thing, oh, it didn't go. There it is. I want to talk about what I believe to be the most powerful video on the planet that most of you have never done. And it's leveraging video in your processes. Here's how this works. Tracy, you are helping my family buy a home. You and I go way back. We've been friends since high school. And so I would imagine in most family dynamics, one spouse is going to probably run lead, right, on the transaction. And so you're going to communicate maybe with both of us some, but most of the time with me. And if we looked at your process, whether it's 8 steps, 47 steps, most of them are going to be a text message, an email, or a phone call, correct? Is there any other way we would communicate other than those 3? And if you say video and you're not doing it, don't be a liar. Okay? I know this is back to school. We all know how we felt about the teacher's pet, right? And so think about this. We hit a stage in the process where you call me. We're both on our way home from work. We have a 15-minute conversation. It's a great conversation. I get home and I say, hey, honey, Tracy called. What does she say? What'd she say? If they're saying, who's Tracy, that's a red flag, okay? I don't know that I'm qualified to help you with how bad that would be. But hopefully beyond that, she's going to say, what'd she say? To which I, as a master communicator that travels the world speaking, am going to say, she said we're good. Wives, are you cool with that answer? I've yet to find a wife that's cool with this answer. And so she says, well, what does that mean? And I say, woman? I'm just kidding, I don't say that. We've been married almost 15 years because I don't call her woman. To her face. Let's be honest. And I say, what? Honey, what do you want from me? She said, we're good. We were in the car, I was driving. I don't remember everything she said. All I know is it ended with, we're good. This still isn't good enough for her. And so now the interrogation begins, and she's going to go, how long were you and Tracy on the phone? I don't know, 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, all she said was, we're good. Do you see what y'all are doing? Y'all are starting World War IIIs in homes all across America because you have left the job of the expert to be communicated by someone who is not. Here's where this gets dangerous. At the closing table, my wife's excited. She's going to pretend to like Tracy. And after we get into the new home, she's going to ask me at some point, hey, how much did Tracy make? Because in her mind, did Tracy work hard? No. Did you work hard? Do I know that you worked hard? Yeah. I had most of the communication, right? But because you left it up to me, my wife thinks you suck at your job, and she can't believe that you made however many thousands of dollars you made on that deal. Here's the end of this story. You guys are cutting off half of your referral opportunities by the way you communicate in the process. Is that worth the price of admission to today? This is how easy this can be. So, what do? We look at our process and we break it down into two types of videos. Non-emotional and emotional videos. Non-emotional videos are, at some point, do you have to always ask for documentation? That's a non-emotional video, right? I doubt many of you have had a buyer go, oh, you need my license? Well, that's personal, right? And so you record a video one time that requests documentation, and then you can send that out to every buyer you ever have at that stage in the process. But then you have emotional videos. So when they're cleared to close, that should be the moment where you decide from right now that I'm going to record a personal video from wherever I am the moment my buyer's cleared to close. And so it could go like this if you're good at what you do. Drapers, this is Tracy. Guess what? You're cleared to close. Harrison, Everly, baby Ruby, y'all get to pick your rooms in your new house in 10 days. I'm so excited for you. Was that a hard video? Guys, I'm going to take that video and I'm going to send it to my parents. I'm going to send it to our best friends. We can't wait to have y'all over. I might even post it on the internet to brag about how bad your lender is because mine's awesome, if you haven't ever gotten this video. Is this real life? Am I making stories up? Like, is this far-fetched or is this super doable? Guys, this is the way. This is how you solidify the refi. This is how you solidify the referral, because the power of video is that I can be friends with Luke for 3 years without ever meeting until 20 minutes ago. Well, I guess it's been longer than that now, 45. And I know how many kids he has. And I know what he loves to do when he's not working. And we've never spent any time together. This is the world we live in. And it's the world we must embrace if we want to do this at the highest level possible. And we can also do this with lead follow-up. Why would you ever follow up with somebody without a video? I talked to a friend last week that is a recruiter. She uses LinkedIn to recruit heavily. She and I spoke at an event 2 weeks ago together in Dallas. And I talked about this. And she said, Kyle, this guy ghosted me on LinkedIn. And so I sent him a video. And guess what she got right back? A video. The guy had ghosted her. When we put ourselves out there in an intimate way, it warrants an intimate response. But when we keep putting ourselves out there in cold ways, it's easy for somebody to go, no thanks. This is how we win. We can use it in recruiting. And guys, just in general, if somebody were introduced to you through a friend, is there an introductory video of you somewhere where they can get to know who you are beyond, I'm in mortgage and I've been in it for 11 years. Nobody cares. Part of why I did the intro that I did for y'all is one, because when you get to know me, you value what I have to say more. And for anybody in this room that may love Jesus the way that I love Jesus, by me saying I used to be a pastor, it instantly connects us at a deeper level. When I show you my kids, and you have kids that age, a niece or nephew that age, you're the grandparent of kids that age, it draws you in. But I also did it to show you what you should be doing with your conversations. Stop robbing people of what you used to do before mortgage. Because that may be the connecting point for a lot of people. If you've been doing mortgage for 40 years, talk more about the story, because that's powerful. I mean, who's done the same industry for 40 years? And so if you're still here, you're doing something right. We need to know that. Guys, we've got to be using video to provide value and not just try to sell to people. We should be telling stories. Instead of just posting a closing photo that's like, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Who the crap are the Smiths? What problem did they have before you showed up that you allowed them to solve? Because what you need is for other people to see themselves in the stories of the people you're helping, so that they think, oh, maybe Tracy can help me too. Y'all see how this works? But we've been taught that social media is about lead generation. Lead generation, lead generation, lead generation. Generate more leads, generate more leads, generate more leads. And we just go sell crap to people. We got to do this different. I love check-in videos. They're videos with zero skin in the game, zero desire of outcome. It is, you were on my heart today. I just wanted to say hi. I like to, and again, don't pimp out Jesus like this if you're going to try it, but I love to just pray for people and then shoot them a quick video and say, what's up, bro? Praying for you this morning. I hope you're well. Signed to your favorite social media guy. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that part. This isn't rocket science. We need to be in front of people more. Period. How much does everything I've taught so far cost? It's free 99. Nothing. So while all of you field calls constantly by a vendor that says, oh, I can change your business. I can change your, for $14.99 a month, I can change your business. This costs you nothing other than overcoming yourself. Let's talk culture for a second. Your values. Does C2 have values? Have you ever talked about them on video? Y'all have a pretty cool CEO and president. Not many people can pull off the stash. I mean, I guess the jury may be out. We'd have to ask David's girlfriend if he is pulling it off or not. But he's a cool dude. Every time I'm in a room with him, I like him more. We got to be representing culture. Culture matters. Your work environment. If you have a home office, people want to see it. And it sounds stupid, but it's real life. It's what connects us to people. We want to represent the leadership team. It matters. This is easy content. In a minute, I'm going to teach you how to do it. The employees. The way David put people's names up on the screens and we cheered for him. We should be telling stories about those people on our social media. It also helps people realize, oh wow, Kyle's not just about himself, because he's willing to talk about others. We also, guys, we can't just wait to lead in person. We've got to lead online. And so I love to do content where I just talk about what I'm learning. If I read something in a book that I'm reading, I'll jump on video and talk about it. If something pops off at me during a podcast that I'm listening to or during a YouTube video that I'm watching, I'll jump online and go, guys, I got to tell you what I just heard. Not, I'm the expert of this subject matter because I read this book and let me educate you on how. I mean, this is school, right? We need to be showing up as the expert, but we also need to be showing up as the student. Because if we only show up as the expert, we end up rising above people. When we also show up as the student, we remain beside them. And once we become known as the know-it-all, do very many people want to work with us? Probably not. And so we've got to do this different. I believe we should also be talking about failure. What are some stories from your past where you failed, but if it wasn't for that failure, you wouldn't be where you are today? We're all the men and women we are, not because of our past successes, but because of our past struggles. And so we've got to open up our minds to truly what's available to us. We need to be interviewing people. We should be inspiring. And as we wrap this up, guys, it has to be about education. It's mind-blowing when you look at consumer data of the percentage of people that still think you have to have 20% down to buy a home. Whose fault is it that people still think that? Yours. Yeah, what are you doing about it? Nothing. Let's be educators without a desired outcome. Educate because you love this industry. Educate because you love serving people, not because it's what you hope is the fastest way to your next deal. Because whether you believe you reap what you sow or you believe in karma, the end is the same. We get out of life what we give to it. And so let's be better givers. I believe every single person in this room should have a podcast. I don't know what I talk about, right? We got to get over this stuff. We should be doing reels and shorts. You already know this. We should be sending actually good emails to people, not spamming them with crappy mortgage ones, without videos. And then the end of this thing is this. We talked about social proof. When you get told about a restaurant, you look it up first. When somebody's told about you, they're looking you up first. There might be the random crazy person that's like, oh, cool, what's his number? I'll call him. But that's not the normal anymore. And here's really the biggest one. It's the second line here. The biggest mindset shift that I believe you can have today is if you would move from seeing social media as lead generation and instead see it as lead preservation. Because I've never met the lender that wants to do more deals than they already know people. And so if that's you, if you want to do 1,000 deals and you have 300 Facebook friends, then you need to actually learn how to do lead generation. But if you want to do 150 deals, but you also already have 1,400 Facebook friends, 800 Instagram followers, 63 YouTube subscribers, I'm not great at math, but you're already winning. And so we've got to go back to serving the people we already know instead of trying to step on their backs to educate the people. We'll close at 1%. Thank you. The one believer in the room. We're going to get the rest of you. The last thing, guys, is simple. When you're struggling with what to put online, document your day. Document your day. And it sounds silly, but people want to know what you had for breakfast. It's stupid, but it's the world of the internet. We're way more curious than we've ever been in our lives. And so has anybody taken a picture of anybody on stage yet and put it online? Has anybody taken a selfie out in the vendor hall? And like my 3 internet people in the back of the room have already done it. This is how easy this can be. And here's how I've made it easier. If you'll scan this QR code, my team has created a 30-day challenge that we've taken. We have a 30-day challenge that's a sales challenge. We have a 30-day challenge that's a social media challenge, an AI challenge, a wellness challenge. And my team's combined it into a free challenge for you guys. And so you could scan this QR code, you can fill out the form, and tomorrow you'll get day 1. Because here's what I know. Our lives don't change because we take good notes. Our lives change because we take strong action. And if we don't do it daily, we're probably not going to do it. And so I'd highly encourage you guys to do this challenge. Guys, thank you for having me. I hope you learned something. I'm here all day if I can chat with you. Appreciate you guys.